Hey everybody, it's Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday and I'm here on Facebook Live and I'm making holiday cookies. So I hope everyone's having a great week. Wow, it's been really busy here in the shop. You guys are definitely digging into some cooking and some gift giving and we are here for it. So I'm gonna wait a few minutes for some folks to jump in. But we are exploring a vintage cookie recipe that I've played with a little bit. I've changed up a little bit. One thing I didn't change though is the fat. I kept it as shortening rather than butter. Hey there. But we are gonna play around with this spice cookie because I was intrigued by it. I am a fan of a vintage recipe that has a great backstory, and this one does. And then I play around with the spices. So we're gonna get to that in just a second. But as usual, per usual, I'm gonna walk off and leave you guys for a second. But I'll be right back. Oh, and I also need my AirPods. So I'm gonna get somebody to grab those for me here in just a second. But I made a batch before you all got here, and then I am going to make another batch with you all. So this is a great new cookie for your holiday lineup. A great one to add in to whatever you're already making, whether you're making chocolate chip or sugar cookies. But this is a great cookie and makes a nice big batch. And they're delicious because I've already tried one. All right, so we're gonna get my KitchenAid all set up, and I'm gonna see if I can get someone's attention so that they can grab my AirPods so you guys can hear me better. But here we go. So this is a vintage spice cookie, and they're called Elevator Lady cookies. So I thought that was such an interesting name and wanted to dig in and explore it a little more. I came across it, I was on Reddit, and came across the story. So this is all about a cookie that makes a big batch that you can freeze the dough and have on hand, and you know I love that. I talk about that all the time. But the story goes that a lady was on the, it will be, yes, we're gonna get this recipe up on the website right after this live, so sorry about that. A lady was on the elevator going up to her office. This was back in the 60s, and she saw a fellow building mate and said, hey, I made these spice cookies. The lady tried them and she said, I can make a way better spice cookie than that. Days later, gave her this recipe, and the lady ended up writing a cookbook and calling them Elevator Lady cookies. So I thought that was so funny. But this is a great little spice cookie, and I'm gonna get started. So it is shortening rather than butter. And what that means is you're gonna have a pretty predictable cookie when you use shortening. You're not gonna have a ton of spread from the cookies that you can get from butter because of the temperature of the butter and the water content of the butter. You can have a pretty accurate cookie. So I've got 3/4 cup shortening going in. Look, I'm watching for my staff to see if somebody can grab my AirPods, but we may just press through without them. So I've got my shortening in. I'm going in with a cup of sugar, and then a 1/4 cup of molasses, but I don't use molasses. I use Steen's cane syrup. So you may already have this in your cabinet, but it's a 1/4 cup. Hey there. It's a 1/4 cup of cane syrup, and we're gonna get that all blitzed together and well blended. Get all that cane syrup in here. So this is a very traditional start to a spice cookie, which would often have lots of clove, lots of cinnamon, and we're gonna bring that in to the party, but we're gonna do it in a little bit of a different way. All right, let's get this bowl up here and get this mixed together. All right, so we're creaming together our sugars and our fat, which happens in almost every cookie first step where you cream together that sugar and butter. So I'm gonna get that all mixed together. And it's nice and smooth. And that's the other great thing about shortening is that this step goes really fast when you use shortening. So let me show you what that looks like. It is absolutely one completely smooth and all one color all the way across. So there's what we have with our shortening, sugar, and Steen's cane syrup. Okay, let me get this guy back on here. Whoops, that won't happen to you. It'll be perfect. All right, get that locked back in. And then we are going to proceed with the rest of our ingredients. So I always like to do the salt and spices, and if there's extract in the recipe at this point, I like to get them really evenly incorporated. Although the recipe may say to combine the flour, the baking soda, I like to get the salt and any extracts and spices in now and get them really incorporated into the fat and sugar. So I'm going in with 2 teaspoons of gingerbread spice. So that's what I've done here. So the elevator lady calls for cloves and cinnamon. We are going to use our gingerbread spice, which definitely has cloves and cinnamon, but it has a lot more, including ginger. So in goes 2 teaspoons, you guys. I think that's one of the things that catches a lot of folks off guard, is the amount of spices that are needed to really bring full flavor. We talk about it in one of my Smidgen episodes, my Smidgen podcast. Catherine and I talk about it, and she said that when she started working with me, producing my podcast, that she was so surprised at how heavy-handed we are with the spices. Not that we're heavy-handed, but that you do need to be generous in order to get all that flavor in there. You want to have a wallop of flavor when you're baking or cooking. So you want to, a lot of times these vintage recipes or hold back on those spices or extracts or even salt. We were talking about this the other day with the salt in vintage recipes. So that's a full 2 teaspoons in this cookie. So in goes my gingerbread spice, and we need a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So let me get that in here now. And so just a good flaky sea salt. I'm going to get that in, and then I'm going to get that blitzed around and nicely incorporated. And that's coming together perfectly. So I'm going to give that a little bit of scrape so I can get that all incorporated. We want to get those spices evenly distributed in that fat and sugar. And then we'll give that another whirl. And we're off to the races. Then we're coming in with flour and baking soda. Remember, soda is your leavener in most cookies because you don't necessarily need lift, but the soda is going to help you out with browning and also crunch. So that's why soda goes in there. So this is looking perfect now. So I've got it all incorporated. And now I'm going to go in with my flour and my soda. So it is 2 cups of flour and 2 teaspoons of soda. So in goes my baking soda, my 2 cups of flour, I can do it, you guys, don't you worry. All right, in goes my flour, all of it. That's such a weird angle. Okay. And then we'll get that moved around. Oh, I forgot my egg. Hang on, let me do this, and then we're going to add my egg. Don't worry. So it's 1 egg in here, and normally you would do that after the sugar and fat step. We're going to do it right now. And you'll get it perfectly right at home, don't you worry. But I guarantee you, no matter when I get this egg in here, the folks at the end result of this are going to eat these. All right, in goes my egg. And that's going to make a lot more sense because this is really dry right now. All right, let's get that moved around. There we go. So I made a batch before you guys got here, and it's sturdy and it's super easy to work with. Now I do want to say that the salt in this recipe was only a 1/4 teaspoon, and I took it up to a 1/2 teaspoon. I was talking to one of my employees the other day, Tish, and she was making her grandmother's fig cookies, big Saturday activity that she does with her family, where they've been making these fig cookies forever, and she brought them to me, and she was like, what would you do? What would you change? Well, first of all, I'm not changing her grandma's recipe, I can tell you that. But I will say, and it's not just her grandmother's recipe, it's so many vintage recipes, the salt is either non-existent or too little. And salt is what helps other flavors present themselves. It's what helps all the flavors pop and helps you get that really satisfying bite when you eat something. So salt missing from a chocolate chip cookie is very evident. We all go, something's not quite right here. So that salt is helping your baked good that you work so hard on really shine and all those flavors shine. And so a lot of times those vintage recipes either don't have enough salt or there's no salt at all. So I did take this salt in this cookie from 1/4 teaspoon to 1/2 teaspoon. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is form these guys into little balls of dough, and it is a really, really forgiving dough. It's super easy to work with. And we're gonna form these into balls, and then they go right on they don't need chilling. That's the other great thing about shortening, they don't need chilling, and they're gonna be super cooperative. So little balls of dough, and then I'm going in with our clove sugar. So we were like, Cameron and I were talking, and I said, which sugar? And he was like, do it. It's holidays, it's a spice cookie, clove sugar. So this is a sugar that is pretty amazing. It's got some bite to it. And what we sell it for more than anything is folks making cocktails. They're using this in really creative way to rim glasses for cocktails. And I think that's really neat. Okay, and on these guys go, and they bake at 350 just for a few minutes. They were about 9 minutes for a pan of cookies, and they came out perfectly. All right, let's get another couple of these on here for you guys, and then I'm gonna show you the tray that I baked. And what you can do, and I'm gonna take a bite and talk to you with my mouth full, but what you can do is get these all to this state and freeze them. And then you'll have a nice zip top bag in your freezer ready to go to bake some cookies. You can bake them for Santa. Christmas morning, I would have these for breakfast in a second with a cup of coffee or tea. But these would be great just tucked in the freezer just so that you can make a few. But a nice little change up, especially if you're doing lots of chocolate chip or sugar cookies or frosted sugar cookies. This is a nice little change up in flavor profile for your holiday cookie lineup. Okay, let me clear off my mess, and I made quite the mess today. So, and I'm gonna show you guys my pan of cookies that I made. What I love about these cookies, you guys, is that it makes a beautiful crackled top. Look at the color on those. They are golden from that cane syrup, and that beautiful crackled top. And then our sugars give them a little bit of shine. They're kind of glistening on top of there with those sugars. So let's see how they bake up. They are soft in the middle and crisp on the outside. So good. I need a glass of milk. Cameron, maybe hot tea. I'm gonna dip them in my hot tea here in a second. But they're beautiful. Golden brown, perfect shape, like they perfectly hold their shape. Crunchy on the outside, chewy on the inside. I'm taking another bite. They're really, really good. All right, you guys, thanks for hanging in there with me, without my correct audio today. Sorry about that. But oh my gosh, those are delicious. And I love what the salt did. I love having that little bite of salt. It's really, really nice. Look, we want to, for you, those of you in Baton Rouge, we want to see you in the shop. But know that we are closed on Tuesdays. So we have been so incredibly busy, and we're so incredibly grateful for what's going on. But boy, we can't catch our breath. So we are closing on Tuesdays, and we're doing appointment-only shopping. And we have quite a few appointments for next Tuesday. What that means is you come in, we're all here, we're still working, we're busy, we're getting things stocked back up, but you get to shop with one of us, either me or Alana or Cameron or one of our other staff members. The store is quiet, there aren't any other customers here, and we can work with you at a really leisurely pace and get some gifts put together for you and give you some ideas of what we're gifting. But we just need that day each week in order to get our feet back underneath us. So check it out on the website and make an appointment. Come in, you can bring someone with you, it can be 2 people. Bring someone with you, come in and shop with us next Tuesday. We'd love to see you. We are open all other days, normal hours, but on Tuesdays we're doing appointment only shopping. So we appreciate you guys being understanding about that. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to my staff. We've gotten so terribly busy, and it's nice to have that day to really dig in and get some work done and just have a little bit of a break. So thank you guys so much. This was so much fun. Make these cookies. Add these to your Christmas cookie baking list. These are amazing. We'll have them up on the website very, very soon. Thanks, guys. These are yummy. Bye.